So let's talk price strategy really quick. So obviously there are many price strategies that can be applied to certain types of industries. But let's talk about a very simple price strategy for B2C. Let me give you an example of one product in different sizes and how one is able to steer and influence what size your customers are going to buy and what not. So let's take the example of a coffee shop. Let's say you have a small coffee for 250 euros for 200 milliliters. You have a middle-sized coffee for 4 euros which is 400 milliliters, and you have a jumbo coffee which is 5 euros for 600. So what is going to happen now if a customer sees your sign with a coffee and then with the different variations of small, middle and jumbo? So first he's going to see that the small cafe is 250 for 200 milliliters. So he immediately knows that he pays more than he actually gets. So he pays over €1 per 100 milliliters. And this gets very clear because you see the numbers 250 and 200. So you immediately know that 250 is bigger than 200, so you are practically paying more. When you see the middle size coffee, you see 4 euros for 400 milliliters. So you get the feeling that the 4 euros for 400 milliliters actually is more worth it than the small coffee, because you're paying €1 per 100 milliliters. And again, it gets very clear because you have the numbers 4 euros and 400 milliliters, the same numbers. 250 versus 200. Those are two different numbers. The number you pay is bigger than the number you get. Middle-sized coffee, the number you pay is the same as the number you get. In the jumbo-sized coffee, you have 5 euros for 600 milliliters. So suddenly you have a smaller number and you pay, and a bigger number you get. So what's going to happen now is that people who would like to order a middle-sized coffee, look at the coffee, look at the menu, see the coffee for 4 euros and 400 milliliters. So if they are the type of customer who aren't really 100% sure on their choice and who are trying to get the most out of their spendings, they're going to choose the jumbo coffee. Why? Because it's just €1 for 200 milliliters. When you read the whole menu, we introduced that 200 milliliters are €2.50. So when he jumps to the jumbo coffee, and again, this all happens sort of subconsciously. This doesn't happen like in a rational manner, but this happens more or less subconsciously. So he subconsciously thinks that he gets the most benefit out of the jumbo coffee versus the middle-sized coffee, but also versus the small-sized coffee. So you try to upsell the customer regardless of what size he wants. Take into consideration what your profit margin per product is. So this means that you ideally want to direct the customer towards purchasing the product size you have the most profit margin on. So this may be the jumbo coffee, this may be just the middle size or the small size coffee. So then you're pricing the other sizes accordingly to direct the customer towards the one or the size that gives you the most profit margin for one product. So obviously this is all individual, and this works for some offers different than for others, and for some industry different than for other industries. So this is just a trial and error game. But what is important to remember is that a price strategy, and a sandwich price strategy, as I like to call it, is something you need to play with Your price isn't set in stone. Your price shouldn't be just raised because you have more expenses. A price should be just raised and a way to play around with your business and with your profit margins in order to you can only optimize something if you play around. And if you play around, you're also committing the risk of losing money in the short run and maybe failing on some attempts, but maybe also succeeding on some attempts. And I would advise anybody to just give it a shot.